and society. I think that's a lot of the trick here. To echo Jack's point, though, about white papers and the way government moves, I tend to agree. Miles may be more optimistic than I am, but I tend to agree. I think a lot of the big changes that are going to need to happen probably won't happen until there's some sort of provoking event, some sort of crisis. I don't think that, though, prevents us from starting to have the conversations. At least the way Washington tends to work, at least you want to have the policy container, the framework.
UDI 83 do DC 40. Just caught a glimpse of our latest snippet, didn't you? Hang tight, UDFig. The full scene's rolling out when we wrap up this vid. So stay right there. And Dude 83, smash that like if you're hyped. Subscribe for the juicy stuff we drop regularly. Your thoughts? Drop them below. U2014. We're chatting with you guys in the comments. Stay tuned, full clip coming up. Hit like, subscribe now. Join the conversation. We reply. In the world of technological advancement and the burgeoning evolution of artificial intelligence, we're grappling with questions that seem straight out of science fiction. Yet these queries echo the very immediate concerns of our society. Should we automate away even the most fulfilling jobs? Should we allow AI machines to flood the internet with propaganda and fake news? Should we develop non-human minds that are smarter than our own, U20 theme machines that might one day outnumber or outsmart us? Do we risk losing control? Recently, this debate was thrust into the spotlight when an open letter, signed by notable figures including Elon Musk, called for a moratorium on the development of advanced AI systems. This pause would ideally last 6 months, U20 ample time, the signatories argue, to assess the trajectory of AI development and its societal implications. Nen. In today's editorial, we're not just pondering hypotheticals, U20, we're facing a pivotal crossroads in the history of humanity and technology. Let's contemplate the spectrum of automation, not solely in menial tasks, but also in jobs that bring a deep sense of purpose and accomplishment. If we automate these roles, we may inadvertently erode the very fabric of job satisfaction and identity that bolsters our social structure. Furthermore, as AI systems become increasingly autonomous in creating content, we stand on the precipice of a disinformation chasm. The potential for these machines to generate deceit at an unprecedented scale is a chilling prospect. It confronts us with existential questions about truth, trust, and the fabric of our shared reality. Lastly, the development of superintelligent AI, U20 entities that could outpace human cognitive abilities, U20 presents a paradox of progress. In our pursuit of unbounded innovation, we could be nurturing an intelligence that may not share our values or visions for the future. In today's episode, we're diving into these crucial topics with the insights of tech investor Evan Burfield, author of Regulatory Hacking, a Playbook for Startups, alongside the profound understanding of a preeminent figure in the field, U20 professor, an expert in both the technical and ethical dimensions of AI. We stand at a crossroad where our choices will echo through the annals of history. It is time to deliberate not just on what AI can do, but what it should do. Can we responsibly integrate these powerful tools into the fabric of society, or do we risk being woven into a future not of our own making? Join us as we unpack these complex issues, consider the perspectives of our esteemed guests, and ponder the future of AI, U20, a future we must approach with cautious optimism and rigorous scrutiny. This is not simply a theoretical debate. It's a discourse that will define the era we live in and the legacy we leave for generations to come.
And society, I think that's a lot of the trick here. To echo Jack's point, though, about white papers and the way government moves, I tend to agree. Miles may be more optimistic than I am, but I tend to agree. I think a lot of the big changes that are going to need to happen probably won't happen until there's some sort of provoking event, some sort of crisis. I don't think that, though, prevents us from starting to have the conversations. At least the way Washington tends to work, at least you want to have the policy container, the framework, the ideas ready, some sort of consensus being built, so that when the opportunity presents itself, kind of like a VC who sees a great startup, right? When the opportunity presents itself, you're ready to jump on it and you're ready to move forward. And I think that has to be happening right now.
One of the more go ahead. The opportunity that I see right now is to build some global governance. I think you have the governments are afraid of the technology companies. The technology companies are afraid the governments are going to shut them down, as they did in Italy. And this means everybody has some incentive to go to the table. That's rare. And I think we should be seizing that opportunity right now to try to do something coherent that is dynamic enough to cope with the speed of the change, to take advantage of the good things and to avoid the bad things. But we need that coordination now, and we can't just leave this to the usual mechanisms. It's just too slow.
Miles, one of the more worrying things that you said was that Speaker McCarthy was looking at an AI for Republicans. And, you know, one of the experiences we have of recent years is that the Russians were able to interfere in a democracy, and who knows, arguably, it's been debated whether they were able to change some of the results through what they were putting onto the internet. I mean, we're into a whole new ballgame for democracy if AI can put out misinformation and propaganda.
It's not if, it's how much and when. It's going to happen probably in the US 2024 election.
Well,
yeah, there's no question. I mean, this coming election cycle in the United States, it's a big concern for election security authorities. It should be. But I got to go back to what the other panelists said. In order to respond to it effectively, we've got to start with education. And right now, I mean, I've tried to brief policymakers on this. It's like explaining particle physics to a chocolate chip cookie. I mean, there's just not recognition about what's happening. If I was President Joe Biden right now, I would put the entire cabinet on Air Force One. I would fly them to Silicon Valley, and we would spend the week educating them about what's happening, because there aren't just these security implications for the elections. As Evan notes, there's also really positive implications. I mean, there's the ability to address major healthcare problems, hunger, homelessness, and to do it in real time. And we are missing some opportunities by policymakers not being educated on the subject. But of course, security has to come first. And in order to protect elections or anything else, it's got to start with